We have lots to talk about in today's video, including the latest trade talk around the NHL. We have some more interesting teams that are being linked to players like Elias Pettersson and JT Miller in Vancouver. We have the latest on a potential Jake Evans trade involving the Montreal Canadiens. And according to insiders, there's a deal going down tonight between the Flames and the Flyers that has not quite been finalized. We'll discuss what we know so far on that front. Plus, big news from the waiver wire. Brandon Saad is going to be terminated and become a free agent. Big news on the Four Nation captain announcements. And Muriel Heiskanen is going to have to miss the tournament due to injury. All that and some salary cap news coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in tonight's video. Lots of news and some speculation, and we're bound to have a trade sometime tonight as well, so certainly stay tuned. There will be another video besides this on the channel this evening. Hard to say what order they're going to be posted in. It depends on when the news is officially released. But first, let's start with news from the waiver wire. We got news today, of course. Philip Grubauer was on waivers yesterday. He's cleared. The Kraken have assigned him down to the minor leagues, so we'll see how things go for him. I suspect either a trade or buyout is likely in the offseason. Brandon Saad was on unconditional waivers today for the purpose of contract termination. So in case you missed the video earlier, Brandon Saad, his agent and the St. Louis Blues have mutually agreed to terminate his contract with the Blues, which means that he will now become an unrestricted free agent tomorrow afternoon when the waiver wire clears. So, of course, nobody's going to pick him up because clearly he's on his way to being a UFA and can sign for far less money. So the St. Louis Blues will get cap relief. The contract will be voided off their cap. So there's $4.5 million extra that they can play with. And then Saad, unfortunately, though, will forfeit between the remaining salary has been paid this year and next year's money. He's going to end up losing just over $5 million. But he's betting on himself to bounce back, play with another team, and probably get another better contract. So it sounds like he's looking for a contract probably in the neighborhood of $1 million for the rest of the year, like a prorated deal. And then from there, I suspect he'll likely be looking for a multi-year deal in the offseason if he plays better and meets a higher level of expectation. So we'll see what happens there, but Saad will become a free agent. So far, teams that, according to NHL insider Frank Saravalli, who was on NHL Coast to Coast tonight on Amazon, he's linking Tampa and Toronto in the East, and as well as the Devils and Vegas in the West. I suspect we're going to see some other teams too. Wouldn't be shocked to see the Bruins in there. Wouldn't be shocked as well to see a team like the Avalanche in there too. So there's bound to be, like I said yesterday, probably 7-8 teams at least that'll at least kick tires on signing him. So I'm not sure how quickly it'll take to get a decision on where he's going to end up. And then today we got news that also Adam Boqvist, right shot defenseman, 24-year-old, former 8th overall pick in the draft for the Florida Panthers, is on waivers. Wouldn't be shocked to see him get picked up either. I said he's offensive. He's defensively he's got his challenges, but offensively he can move the puck. And has good offensive instincts. Right shot. He's young. He's making cheap money. He's on a 1-year deal at $775. I wouldn't be shocked at all with teams dealing with injuries on the blue line that could pick him up. So we'll find that out tomorrow afternoon. As I mentioned, some news around the Four Nation faceoffs. Unfortunately, Dallas defenseman Muriel Heiskanen, who would have been arguably the top defenseman for the Finns, is going to miss the tournament. Heiskanen is now listed as week to week and is definitely out. We don't know 100% yet who's going to replace him on the Finnish roster, but it's believed, according to NHL insider Frank Saravalli, that Urho Vakanainen, who's currently playing with the Bruins, will be the front runner to be selected for the Finns. So that's bad news for Dallas, bad news for Team Finland. And of course, the Four Nation teams all announced team captains today. We got word early in the day on the European teams, and then Canada and the U.S. were in the afternoon. Early in the day, we found out that Team Finland will be captained by Barkov, which is no big surprise, the first Finnish captain to hoist the Stanley Cup. He'll be joined by alternate captains Mikael Granlund, Sebastian Aho, and Mikko Rantanen. So, of course, Aho Rantanen, newly formed teammates, of course, old buddies too. So that's a good squad of leaders for the Finns. In Sweden, we got Tampa Bay captain Victor Hedman. Not a huge shocker there. He's a good selection. Alternate captains for Sweden include Erik Karlsson, William Nylander and Matthias Ekholm of the Oilers. Team USA and Team Canada only announced 2 alternate captains each, whereas the European teams went with 3. The American captain is going to be Leaf captain Austin Matthews, so he's got the C. He'll be joined by Charlie McAvoy of the Bruins and Matthew Tkachuk of the Panthers, wearing the A's for alternate captain. Team Canada captain, no surprise at all, Sidney Crosby, and he'll be joined by Connor McDavid and Cale Makar on the back end here. You could have given A's to just about anybody on that roster for Canada, and, well, good selections there for who they picked. No big surprise there. I suspect in the next Olympics or possibly the next World Cup at some time, you will likely see McDavid be Captain Canada at some point once Crosby's ready to hand that over or once he retires, whatever happens first. But he's still a great leader, and it makes perfect sense to have him continue to lead Canada for now. So as I mentioned, we also got some news today regarding salary cap, which is expected, again, this guy is back to the Four Nation Tournament, to be announced at the Four Nation Tournament. We're expecting, according to Darren Dreger, to get the 25-26 salary cap figure, and it's even possible, as we've been hearing from Elliot Friedman here in recent weeks, that they might go ahead and give us a longer projection. We might actually find out a year or two down the road beyond that, or at least one, but that's not confirmed. It's believed that the cap, it will jump more than the 5%. Right now, we're at $88 million. It's expected to likely go to 96. Now, it may not be a full 96, but we're hearing that 96 is kind of the max. We had heard 97 at one point too. So either way, if 96 million is the number, that's an $8 million jump. That's significant. That will help teams out a lot, and there's a lot of big names going to be looking for new contracts to get paid this offseason, some on extensions and some as UFAs. So certainly great to see. I'll be curious to know what that number is going to be, and hopefully, like I said, we have it early enough in the season here that teams can have more time to plan ahead, and even before the NHL trade deadline here as well, you might see some more movement with players with term, for example. Obviously, it helps big time to know that number far in advance. One other roster update with the Canes tonight, we're going to be without Sebastian Aho as well as Taylor Hall, both out due to illness. And Ryan Suzuki, brother of Nick Suzuki, is making his long-awaited NHL debut. This is another good story of perseverance. Ryan Suzuki, of course, was a 2019 first-round draft pick. Like his brother, had a lot of pedigree coming out of junior hockey. Looked like he was going to be a real good prospect. Of course, his brother Nick has gone on to become the captain of the Montreal Canadiens and a well-established star player in the NHL. Whereas Ryan is just finally making his debut. This will also mark the culmination of the full first round of that draft to all have played at least one game. And that might not sound like much, but it's actually quite a feat. It's actually, if you look through a lot of draft records, 2017, 18, 14, 15, 13, go back, there's not a ton of draft years where every single player got at least one game. But Ryan Suzuki's battled injuries. Of course, there was the COVID year, which slowed things down as well. Being a Carolina prospect, they haven't had a dedicated affiliate for the entire time either. That's played a role in where he's played. He's been limited to games. This year, they've got a better situation for the Carolina players with their affiliate in Chicago. He's been healthy, and now he's basically an AHL All-Star. So I think this could be, he might kind of be viewed upon a bit of a late bloomer. But to me, it's kind of a scenario similar to what we've seen with Shane Wright in Seattle. Just a guy that didn't get to play a lot of hockey for a couple of years, and it really set back his development. So nice to see a good story like Ryan Suzuki finally get to make his debut. Another milestone tonight as well. Flyers coach John Tortorella becomes the first U.S.-born coach to hit 1,600 NHL games behind the bench. So another big milestone there. We got the Edmonton Oilers quarter-century team announced here today as well. Team 1, no big surprise, led by Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. All, of course, longtime Oilers. Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid first overall picks. Leon was pretty high there as well. And, no surprise of the trio of forwards. Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard will make up the back end, along with Dwayne Rollison. Rolly the goalie will be on that team for the quarter-century honoring system here. Now, Team 2 amongst this is Ales Hemsky, along with Sean Horkoff and Ryan Smith, some throwback guys there. Ales Hemsky was a real exciting player during his day. It's unfortunate the Oilers didn't have better teams when he was around. He was a real thrilling player. On the back end, we've got current Oiler Matthias Ekholm and former captain Jason Smith. So, of course, Ryan Smith was also a former captain of the team. Eric Horkoff actually was captain. Ryan Smith was an alternate. So lots of former leaders of this team on this team too. And Tommy Salo between the pipes. There's a name we haven't heard in a hot minute. Now, the Utah Hockey Club, we announced yesterday, was finalizing their new team name down to 3 options, and fans at the next 4 home games were going to get an opportunity to vote and get this show on the road. Unfortunately, they could not proceed with the Yeti name, which was the preferred name by, I think, fans and ownership, management, etc., but they could not get the trademarking rights because of the Yeti cooler company, or I guess I'm not sure what, but the Yeti company that has all the beverage cups and coolers and all that, could not come to an agreement to settle things to proceed with that. So they put out 3 names to vote, and now they've already come back a day later and made a change. They said they're listening to their fans, and well, here's what happened. So we had 3 options of being, they remain Utah Hockey Club. The next option was the Utah Mammoth, and then the third option, which we had never even heard of, wasn't on any of the prior lists, was the Utah Wasatch. I think that's how you pronounce it. Wasatch. I think it's be Wasatch, I believe is how you would say it. I'm like, what in the hell is that? Like, what? I've never even seen that name. Didn't even know what it is. Had to Google it. And anyways, the fans hate it. So the Utahs now put up a new post today saying that name is out. The 3 names to pick from now are the Hockey Club, the Mammoth, and the Utah Outlaws. The Outlaws I could live with. I'm personally not a big fan of Hockey Club. I think it needs to be a little bit more creative. So regardless if it's Mammoth or Outlaws, I'll be happy either way. So we'll see what happens on that front. As I mentioned, we got some trade activity likely going down. It might even be complete before I complete recording this video. Hard to say, but there is an expected trade going down between the Flames and the Flyers tonight. The Flames are in the middle of a game. The Flyers were playing the Islanders. That game is now completed as I record this video at 10:30 Eastern time. So we don't know the full details, but Andrei Kuzmenko of the Flames is definitely involved, and it's believed that Jacob Pelletier of the Flames also was involved. There's some speculation that Morgan Frost could be involved in the Philly side. We don't know exactly. It sounds like there's more names, and there could even be a third team. We don't know 100% just yet, but there is going to be a deal going down. There's going to be movement here between these 2 clubs. Kuzmenko going to Philly should be interesting. I know Tortorella and Michkov had quite a, I don't know what you want to call it, but disagreement, argument, yelling match on the bench tonight. Of course, Michkov made a big defensive screw up, and Torts is going to let him have it. Michkov was giving it right back to him too. So now Kuzmenko and Michkov did play on the same team over in Russia. I'm sure that the thought process is maybe if they play together, Michkov can get Kuzmenko going. Kuzmenko is a pending UFA, so they can get him for the rest of the year as an experiment, see if it works, and consider signing him. And if not, they can let him go. Jacob Pelletier is a player that I think is an offensive player that's looking for more consistency in his game. So maybe he finds a home in Philly. Morgan Frost has been a player that's been in and out of Tortorella's doghouse. I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest. And he's a half decent centerman. So I can see and we know the Flames definitely wanted help down the middle. So makes sense, but we don't know what else is involved at this point. So stay tuned. It's even possible if I finish recording this video and go back to check everything out, maybe if the trade is finalized, I might do the trade video before this one gets posted. So hey, don't be confused. The trade's in the process of going down. I just figured out while I'm waiting, I'm going to get this video recorded. We'll go from there. Now, Montreal, Frank Seravalli is reporting tonight that there's still a decent chance that the Habs stay the course. Of course, a lot of people asking the injury to Caden Gooley, pretty serious stuff. He's likely out for the rest of the season after the quad laceration. He lost a ton of blood. It was a scary situation of having quick surgery at the hospital right after the game. It's already been released, but like I said, he's got a long recovery ahead of him. Pretty good chance his regular season at the very least is over. The Habs have lost the last few games. They are still in the mix for playoffs, but after the last couple, they kind of have slipped back here a little bit. So if they were able to get in, then maybe he can come back. I'm not sure. We don't really have more of a timeline update from the Canadiens. They just said he's out indefinitely. But basically, from Pierre LeBrun of TSN and Frank Seravalli, they seem to think that Montreal is not going to be really change course at all from this injury. That they're still going to do the same thing. At the end of the day, they'd love to get into playoffs, but at best case, they're not going to be buyers. The way they would be considered buyers is by not trading some pending UFAs and using them as their own rentals. And right now, probably the name that's getting the most attention is Jake Evans. And one team that's been linked to is a team that just had a ridiculously crazy game with the Ottawa Senators, and that's with the Washington Capitals. Capitals, apparently, according to Frank, have a lot of interest in Evans, and apparently they tried trading for Jake Evans at the draft this past year, but they could not come to an agreement on a deal. So Evans remained with the Canadiens, and of course is having a career season now. So Montreal's probably happy about that in a way because they can probably get more for him now than they could before. But I'm not sure that they're going to pull the trigger here on a deal anytime soon. I think Montreal will probably wait as close as they can to the deadline to see if they realistically have a shot at playoffs or not. And if they do, if they think they can get in rather than buy, I think they'll say, well, we don't need a second-round pick and a B prospect or whatever the return is going to be on Evans. We'll take our chances here and hold on to him, right? So, but there's definitely interest. New Jersey's another team that have expressed a lot of interest in Evans in the past, but certainly expect Montreal to do what they feel is best for the long-term big picture of the team, not just trying to squeeze in to the playoffs. So, they're not going to be buyers, but they may not be sellers. But next couple of weeks will be a big determination here, but expect the Capitals to heavily pursue Evans as an option for their bottom six. And now some updates too before we go on Vancouver guys, Pettersson and Miller. More updates today. Rick Dhaliwal on his show, he's a well-connected Canucks reporter, says another team to look out for JT Miller is the Avalanche. Now, of course, JT has full control, as we know, with his no-move clause, so if he doesn't want to go to Colorado, he doesn't have to. That the Avalanche would propose a package, likely starting with Casey Middlestat. He's kind of lost the second-line center job. Hasn't quite lived up to the he came in, did a really good job last year, got a contract extension, and then hasn't quite worked out since. So, they're looking for an upgrade. If they can get Miller in a long-term deal, they would probably part with Middlestat, who would be as Jim Rutherford said in that Globe and Mail article, we might not get a 1C coming back. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3C. Well, Middlestat's a pretty creative, offensively gifted player at times. So they also have Ross Colton in Colorado who could fill that 3 role. So, that might be a deeper solution. If they can go with McKinnon, Miller, Colton, that's pretty deep center. 1, 2, 3. So at the end of the day, it would be more than Middlestat likely to get the deal done. But that would be a starting point with the package to build around. So we'll see if things pursue there or not. And when it comes to Elias Pettersson, reports another kind of low under the radar team, who we talked about for Miller yesterday, is the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are a team, according to this was discussed on TSN Insider Trading, that they're certainly out there looking to make moves. And Pettersson is a player that they're still trying to figure out exactly who he is. Is he the 100-point player? Is he not? He has not been the same since he signed that contract. Is the Miller stuff distracting him? What's it going to be? I don't know that Vancouver trades both these guys really close together, to be honest. If I'm Vancouver, I deal with Miller first. And then I see how Pettersson reacts. And if Pettersson's game suddenly gets back to where it was, you remove that distraction from him, and he's back to being a 100-point player, then you don't trade him. It's just that simple. But, if he's not getting any better, I think a Pettersson trade for Vancouver makes more sense in the offseason. But we'll see. But Columbus does make sense. They're a team that's exceeding expectations this year. They've got a lot of young talent there that could satisfy the Canucks. I think they could put together a pretty good and interesting package for them as well. So if they want to go down that road. But I'm not entirely convinced they really do. But like I said, they right now, the big part of it is not just a Miller-Pettersson situation. They're also unhappy with his performance and not living up to that contract. They have to determine, can we win with this guy or not? They need him to be their 1C with what he's getting paid and to play that way and to be a dominant player. If they don't feel he can be that, it makes sense to try to move him, but you got to be careful. It's hard to win those deals. You often regret it down the road. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of today's news and rumors. Like I said, is regarding the Flyers-Philly trade with Calgary Flames. Keep posted for that. I'm not sure if that's going to be posted first or this video will be posted first, so hopefully there's no confusion, but there is a trade in the works going down. Let me know your thoughts on everything in today's video. In the comments, we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around, and we'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.